Good morning. This is my morning musing for Monday, May 17th. I'm Jason Stanton. Uh, a long time ago, my eldest is now 16 and a half. I remember as we were trying to figure out what parenting was like and how to do it, still wondering the answers to those questions. But as we were learning how to crowdsource our answers, one of the methods of parenting that was quite popular 15 years ago or so, and I still hear about from time to time, was Love and Logic. And Love and Logic had a bunch of magic questions, which I always find very helpful. I remember when I was in seminary, our pastoral care professor had a list of magic questions. How long has this been going on? That kind of thing. To get at how people are feeling, what's really going on in people's souls. For parenting, when your child pushes that button by doing or saying something that just is so disobedient or so thoughtless or so just bad choice, right? Bad choices. A pastor may say, or a Christian may say, something sinful, selfish. When that happens, as a parent, what do you do? What do you say? I mean, you want to be clear that this is behavior that is not going to be tolerated, or that has consequences, or that does not align with our values, whatever you're trying to communicate. But as much as you want to instill that message of this is not your best, or this is not who you want to be, certainly not who I want you to be, how do I communicate that part, but also at the end of the conversation, maybe it's not a two-way conversation, but at the end of the moment, the parenting moment, how do we leave each other with a sense of, okay, I need to do better next time, but I also still know that I'm loved, that correction was offered in a spirit of love. And the magic words that I was given through Love and Logic is, I love you more than the fact that you drew on the wall, that you just broke a dish, even though I told you to hold on with two hands, that you didn't clean your room. I love you more than that you didn't clean your room. Now, I just got on you for a minute or two or four about how this is the 10th time we've talked about it. You said you'd do it, and you still didn't. And here are the consequences. But I want you to remember, I love you more than the fact that you didn't clean your room. For sure. That's worked. That's worked in my marriage. It's not just a parenting piece. It's worked in my marriage. It's worked in a lot of different places, because it allows for me to be upset, to offer the thing that I'm upset about, but it also makes clear at the end as a last word, yeah, I'm upset about all that, but not more than I love you. I'm not more upset than in love. So Ezekiel and Revelation are the books we're reading it right now in our Bible readers. And if you're not familiar, or if you're not in Bible readers, these are books of judgment. I mean, Ezekiel is a prophet who's prophesying in the time after Babylon has already had victory in Jerusalem. But just 6 years after he starts prophesying, the temple itself is destroyed. And so he's got a period of 6 years where he's saying, this destruction is coming. And here's why. God's a jealous God, and you keep worshiping these other gods in high places, and you're in big trouble. It's coming. And then it comes, and Jeremiah has lots of stuff to say about that too. But eventually, there are, just like in all prophetic books, it seems, there are words of hope, words of healing, words of restoration, prophecies of restoration. Revelation, similarly, has a lot of destruction, but it ends with a promise that there will be no more tears, that God will bring a new Jerusalem. Restoration, New Jerusalem, these promises that come after times of judgment, it's kind of the Bible's way of talking about how God is upset and angry, and judgment comes, and then almost always finishes by saying, but remember, I love you more than all the stuff. God gets mad, but God's anger is never greater than God's love. How about you? I'm in a moment as pastor and as a person when I need to say and I need to hear, I love you more than whether or not you're vaccinated. I love you more than who you voted for. I love you more than whether you agree with our decision about masks at First Lutheran. This gets at grace-filled love. At what point do we cut ties? At what point do we give up on an other? And not just within church life, I just mean like on your neighbor. When do you give up on your neighbor? When do you give up on a family member? When do you take and entrench yourself in the opposite side of someone else? At what point? Jesus says, forgive 7 times, 70 times. God is very upset in Ezekiel's day, only to welcome a remnant back from exile. And eventually, this God will die for all of a broken world that has turned its back on God so many times, in so many ways. And yet this God still loves this world and us more than the anger this God feels with us. So I encourage you, start the week by saying, I love you more than keep faith alive. Amen.